Hi, friends. Good morning, good evening, as per your time zone. I'm Kumkum Sharma and I'm back again on live open session episode 28. On the behalf of Bridge, I would like to welcome you all here and let's prepare your questions. The agenda is driven by you, not by me, as always. What you all have to do, just put your questions, add your questions in the comment section. No matters whether you're watching from Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, just add your question. And we have Mr. Saket Bansal with us, and Saket will resolve all your queries related to your right training, right certification, right career path, whatever you have in your mind. Just post your questions. I'll add your questions, and Saket will answer your questions. Thank you, Saket, for joining me again on this session.
Perfect. Yeah, happy to be here. And as you all know, that you can post your questions in the chat wherever you are watching to. If you are watching from LinkedIn, you can post there. If you are watching on YouTube, you can post there. Yeah.
Great. So, Saket,
Okay.
how you like to start this session today?
So I do have few questions which came offline thanks to our YouTube comments. Yeah. So by the time others are bringing their queries, I can start with these questions. Yeah, that's something I can do.
Sounds great.
Okay, so we have a first question which is saying, how will you convince management? It came in the interview to one of the participant. So the person is asking to us, yeah, how will you convince management for an upcoming project to be run in an agile? How do we decide the project should be followed waterfall or agile way of working? And that's the question. Now, in any project, yeah, in any organization, especially the organizations which are working in a project mode, they also have a mechanism and guidance to select a project life cycle. Even waterfall A and waterfall B may vary significantly with each other. Similarly, agile A with agile B may also vary significantly with each other. So these approaches like waterfall and agile are very at high level. They are not at a very detailed level telling you what to do, how to do. But your organization may have a project lifecycle selection mechanism. Now, agile, especially the Scrum, is not primarily designed for project mode of working. So whenever we are applying agile in project mode of working, we need to do something beyond what is told in Scrum in a way. Yeah, because you are not doing product development, you have a special case, you have a contract, and that's how you need to deal with it. So I need to understand the parameters associated with the project. If the project lifecycle selection tool is not there in my organization, then I probably have an agreement with the stakeholder to come up with the project lifecycle selection criteria. Those criteria could be the visibility of the technology, the visibility of skills, the visibility of the future roadmap of that particular product, the type of contract people are using, the between client and vendor, the maturity of the client about understanding the requirement and supporting you, availability of client on a weekly basis, monthly basis to provide you feedback, the distribution of the overall project, how many parties are involved, how those parties are behaving. So these factors may play a role in order to select a particular life cycle for project. Usually by default, the initiatives where requirements are expected to emerge over a period of time, we should have a mechanism to take care of those emerging requirements, and that's why we use agile, because requirements are emerging. We don't have a possibility or an opportunity to baseline the requirement in the beginning, because requirements are going to emerge. So if you can't baseline the requirement, better you look for agile ways of working. That's the simplest way to answer it. But yeah, we can have a more criteria driven approach where we can identify what should be applied in a which particular environment. We did a webinar on this. If you select project lifecycle selection in our YouTube channel, one may get more ideas related to how possibly few criteria can help you in selecting project lifecycle for your project. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we have a question. Maybe I take it. The priority goes to the people who are attending live. Yeah, these questions which are getting posted on our YouTube channel work as a place wherever whenever we have a capacity, we pull them. So one is done, but let's see if we have something here. Okay, so the interesting question: will the Scrum Master skill alone will be sufficient, or any technical like programming knowledge, domain skills need to be supplemented in it? It depends upon which type of organization you are targeting. There is no universal standard. And if I take you back to the era of project management and coordination jobs, even a project manager job, the question used to come, is the project manager job alone or a skill alone is sufficient, or the person need to have something else? So usually the there are some companies where they want to keep pure management roles as they used to keep in the project environment also, where the person is expected to facilitate, lead, coordinate, and resolve organizational and the team level impediment alone, and not getting into the execution part of it. That's the one of the role many organizations expect. So there are companies who are keeping the scrum master or a leader or a project manager just focusing on that particular management and leadership space. But there are other companies who may want the something added. More and more often you find stakeholder coordination, some of the project management activity getting added to the scrum master role. Now that's additional to scrum master role. You also find many times supporting to the product owner by way of facilitating business analysis and requirement exploration may also get added sometime. I see over a period of time, less and less companies are trying to add a programmer role with a scrum master, because programmer role is becoming more and more expensive than scrum master. So it's a costly thing. It's more skill level thing rather than mixing these two. So more and more I am seeing that programming is not getting that much mixed, but people management, stakeholder engagement, project management, as well as the business analysis and stakeholder facilitation might get added in your scrum master role. Yeah. Okay. Good. So that's the thing. If you have a follow-up question, please do post it in the comment section. Okay, I take it next. In the recent interview, one of the question is, what Scrum process or a ceremony would you like to change as a Scrum Master? So my essential understanding is, my understanding, I'm not saying it's a universal understanding, the Scrum ceremonies or Scrum guide, which is coming ready-made to you, is good enough for first few months or maybe a 1.5 or 2 months of your development only. Maximum that. Ideally, you should be finding that sufficient only for the first month. After that, your process is expected to emerge based on your retrospectives. So if we are following after 2 months what is told to us in the training or what is given in the Scrum guide or written in our processes, then in my view, we are not following Scrum. If you are following Scrum guide after 2 months of development as it is, then we are not following Scrum. We are expected to discover our process with the help of retrospective. Now that discovery cannot be standardized. So each team may have their own discoveries depending upon the context the one is facing. So if someone faced this kind of an interview where the interviewer is asking, oh, what would you like to change in Scrum? Which ceremony you would like to change in the Scrum? Then better to take the question in a way rather than thinking change in the Scrum. Maybe you have augmented something in a particular ceremony based on your need. Say, you may have a ceremony which is talking about daily Scrum. It was a 15 minutes meeting, but you realized nowadays everybody is working virtually and you have a new team who requires a lot of facilitation and help, and your team size is small. See, there are only 4 people. You may say that, okay, we do a daily Scrum, but follow but by that, we have a little bit of problem solving and discussion meetings also, where all of us are doing kind of a joint review and joint problem solving for another half an hour or 45 minutes, and then we continue our work. So that may work as a mentoring platform, that may work as a coding platform, that may work as a mock programming platform, which was, somebody will say, it looks like you are extending the daily Scrum. You may say, no, that the whole idea of coordination has been done. Now we are ensuring that we have a better understanding of what each and every individual is doing, and we tend to do it for a month or so, and after that we may discontinue that. So depending upon that, I think one should pick up those ideas. And if you are dealing these kind of question in an interview, I suggest bring a case that, okay, this is what we have in a particular team, and this is what I did as a customization after first 1.5 month of working. And in another team, we did another kind of a augmentation. Now, Scrum as a philosophy recommends that don't change or don't drop something which is already there, but you may augment something which is coming based on your retrospective. But your retrospective should create your process rather than Scrum guide alone. And that's how I think we can use it, as well as probably convince the interviewer also about these particular things. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, you can add your own thoughts on top of it. I know each interviews are unique, and it's more about collecting the ideas here rather than collecting the ready-made answer, because answers will be context driven. Yeah. Okay. New question. So how to manage project deadlines in a startup company having 6 to 7 members who can't afford Scrum Master or a manager? Okay, so see, ideally, we should not have manager. Ideally, yeah. Why do we need a manager? Yeah, or a Scrum Master, whatever name you want to give, manager, to facilitate and coordinate work, because we have a situation where people can't do it on their own. So if I have a 3 4 people, and if they are working very closely sitting next to each other, I may not need a separate manager for them. Maybe someone from them may take a lead, and maybe direct stakeholder who is giving the requirement talks to them, and these 4 5 people can figure it out and do the job. Yeah. So I am investing all my 4 people into the 100% productive space. I'm not investing into management space. Yeah, that's the expectation of a small company, and that's a fair expectation. But the problem starts coming in when the number starts increasing. So you may have not 4 people, maybe you have a 7 people. Now 4 people, all of them are co-founder and they are committed to the work. You may not need manager. But now you have a 6 7 people, and some of them keep going out, and new joining coming in, and all those kind of transaction happening. Then you have a situation where people are not getting are not in that game, and they are doing things here and there as well, and there has to be someone to facilitate, create accountability, and take the journey forward. That's the need of a manager or a leader. So if one has that situation where everybody is committed, they are part of the product project, they will get benefit if the project gets successful. You may not need a manager. They all are kind of a co-founder working together in a startup space. But if that is not the case, then you may need someone to facilitate that work. Yeah. So see that how the work can be added there, and how much management is needed. Yeah, you may not need management for a full time. You may need management for few hours, because of the size of the team, and because of the motivation of the people. So say if you have a 7 people, all of them are fresh, and you need to ensure that they remain aligned, you need more management time. If you have 7 people, they know each other well, they know what is going to happen, they are very professional, they know their deliverables very well, they have a clear sense of accountability, you may need less amount of management time. So that's how we can probably talk to a situation and says, okay, if we can create an environment where people are committed themselves, probably we need less amount of effort for leadership and management. Yeah. Okay, that's what I can add. Any question, comment on the follow-ups? I think we have taken 3 till now. One is the Scrum is enough? Scrum skills are enough for a Scrum Master? And then we spoke about the change in the ceremonies, and then we spoke about how to handle a situation where we don't have a budget for Scrum Master in a way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect. The another interesting question is, again, many times you get these questions in interviews primarily to see how do you respond to these kind of questions. Yeah, that's the whole idea. So we have a question. A day before a release, your Scrum team told that product will fail, and as a Scrum Master, what will you do next? You will let everybody know who should be knowing it. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. Yeah, because see, the leadership role, yeah, especially in a Scrum way of leadership role, is primarily to create a channel where people can communicate with each other and do a joint problem solving. Yeah, so you create that platform. Now if the platform has an issue, yeah, something has been recognized in that particular platform, what do? You make everybody to appreciate that issue and do a joint problem solving and find the answer. That something is expected. Now, many times leadership is also associated with decision making. Usually in a Scrum world, that is less and less associated. We expect the decision making should happen in the form of the group, but it depend upon the context. Sometimes if you also have a decision making role, like you are the guy who will take a call, should we release or not release and all, then maybe you facilitate and finally you take the decision as well. Yeah, that's something probably there. But If an interview question, the simple answer would be, I let everybody know who is expected to know and ask them what should we do, because I am here to facilitate, to face the reality. Reality is ugly or reality is good, whatever it is, we need to face it. We can't hide it. That's the only thing we need to ensure: transparency. And people can listen to each other, understand each other's problem, and solve it as a one team. That's what I do as a leader or a scrum master. Okay, that's my opinion, and you can add few more things on top of it. I don't say that these are the final opinion, but yes, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Okay, so we have a question. Can we implement Scrum in the HR department? Yeah. So the idea here is, what problem are we trying to solve? And if we have a problem in our XX department, and you believe that problem can be solved with the Scrum way of working, we can implement it. But in my view, it has to start with a problem. Now, many times the problem could be that we may not be able to, say, recruit people at a speed which is needed by the team. And our process of doing recruitment, say HR, may takes 3 months. The requisition process and the overall process takes a long time. Now, can we revisit our jobs, be it running a training, be it running recruitment, be it facilitating performance appraisal, be it doing market research in a way so that it becomes more adaptive? And if yes, then you can do it. If you see no, there is no problem and the current way is adaptive enough, then it is not. Now, when you say adaptive, then also you have a multiple choices. Do you want to follow Scrum way of working, or do you want to follow something else way of working in the Agile foundational basis? The Scrum way of working stresses on time boxing. And if the time boxing is something which is going to give you value, then I recommend that following a Scrum way of working might be a good idea. But beyond that, we need to understand what is the organization trying to achieve. I have worked with a company as a consultant where they were into recruitment business and they were doing agile adaptation, significant agile adaptation. They were not using Scrum, but all sort of Kanbans, collaboration, and servant leadership, are removing the manager gap between manager to the executors, and allocating spaces for the teams to collaborate, talk, share, play, were the kind of initiative taken by those particular people to speed up their recruitment process. They were working as a headhunter company rather than HR department of a organization. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we go one by one. So I have a follow-up question on the Scrum Master thing. I think I take it, then I go for a thing. Is there any experience bracket ideal in the market for Scrum Master? I think I did a Scrum Master job analysis, and I was finding 6 to 12 year kind of a range, which was coming most commonly with the Scrum Master job. The simplest thing to do is look at the job sites, check the 20, 30 descriptions for a Scrum Master job. You will see it. But what I observed in November, it was around 6 to 12 years. Yeah. So that's the answer I'm giving. Is there any experience bucket for the Scrum Master space? Okay. So how do you motivate your team in an environment where people don't fully participate in the Scrum events? So see, the idea here is, I have worked as a project manager for long. I have worked as a agile oriented delivery guy for a long. You call it Scrum Master, or we used to call something called Design Factory, because we were using the Donald Reinsertson's style of working, also mixing with it. So there has been a lead, like in my personal experience, people don't want to follow process if the process looks burden to them. Yeah. So it's like this, why should I go in a meeting? What I get out of going to in the meeting? No, my manager will come to know what I'm doing, and he will ask or she will ask 10 more questions to me, and I need to justify it. If that is the goal of that meeting, I have no incentive. Yeah, whatever framework it is, Scrum, Waterfall, whatever framework it is, I will not follow the process because I don't see any value in following the process. Now, if doing a particular process helps me in making my job easier, helps me in getting me right information, helps me in reducing the rework I end up doing, and gives me more creative opportunities to work in, helps me in resolving my issues which are bothering me, then I will go there. Yeah. So the whole idea here is that the places where we tried, in my experience, I am talking about my personal experience, the places where the process was just put as a process, even I felt very difficult as a leader manager to follow those processes, and I used to find just shortcut to just show that we are following the process rather than we are really doing it. But wherever I found that, okay, by doing something I can resolve my client's problem, I can resolve my coordination problem, I can resolve my team's problem, I feel motivated to do it. So as a leader, first I need to see what I want my team to do, which all process I want to make them do, and how can I relate the process with the delivery of value, and how can I make them aligned. Now, alignment is needed. Somebody says, yeah, you want to get your business moving, but I don't want to contribute in your business. Yeah, I have my own business separately. Then you need to do different kind of flow. You can say, no, you are working here. You have a goal. Our common goal is needed. Now, once the common goal is there, if someone has no commonality with the goal, then the whole conversation is gone. Then you don't have to do anything else. But when we have a common goal, then we need to talk about how these processes are helping us in achieving that common goal. And I presume if the goal is common, people feel motivated to figure it out. How can we do it better? Nobody would like to do the same thing again and again, fixing defects, getting confused because the information was not available. Yeah, we want to do more creative work rather than just doing the same follow-up all the time. So think, how can you do that? So which ceremony is most important in Scrum? That's the question. So Scrum will say none or all. Yeah, there is no priorities. So Scrum tells, we have a minimum ceremonies. Yeah, so we don't want to have any ranking under it. That's what they will say. Yeah. Okay, so an individual having 3 to 4 years of experience as a Scrum Master, it is good move to go for SAFe, Advanced Scrum Master Certification, or which is the good certification to go for? Yeah, that's the question coming in. See, the way scaled agile certifications are designed, the role-based certificate like Scrum Master and Advanced Scrum Master are made with the assumption that you are either working or expected to get started in the agile or in the SAFe environment very soon. So usually the people who are in SAFe or about to get started in SAFe, they have a clear mandate. They are the one who are expected to go for role-based certification. So you are saying, I'm a Scrum Master, I'm working as a SAFe Scrum Master, then better I do a SAFe certification. The people who are aspiring to get into SAFe, the people who want to learn what is SAFe, and even if your organization is as of now exploring what is SAFe rather than they have started the activity, for that the Scaled Agile has a program called Leading SAFe. So you need to see where you fit yourself. But yeah, knowing SAFe is about leading SAFe. Doing SAFe is about Agile SAFe Scrum Master or SAFe Advanced Scrum Master. So that's something one can suggest. I would prefer if you have a project management Scrum Master kind of exposure and have not yet started with a SAFe way of working. First, you should watch our videos. We have a 50 plus videos which can help you in educating whatever is there in the SAFe, and then probably do a leading SAFe program. That might be the good thing to do. But yes, that's until unless you have a specific reason. Sometimes you have a position in mind which is asking for Advanced Scrum Master or something, then you have your own business case and it better you go for that. Yeah. Okay, we have a question. Yeah. During a sprint review, your stakeholder is not satisfied with the demo. Out of 10 stories, 5 stories are failed. How do you handle the stakeholder as well as the Scrum team without getting demotivated? Make them talk, make them listen to each other. That's it. Yeah. So the whole idea here is, I am not there to do a magic. I am not there to solve a problem. So something is working and something is not working. How we jointly work together. Yeah. Now, if the joint working together is not there, then maybe we need to do something else other than agile sprint review. Yeah. Maybe you call something else review then. Then it is becoming like a vendor and customer demo. That's a separate thing. You can say in a customer demo, someone criticize our product and how I motivate my team. That's a separate case. But when you are saying in a sprint review, somebody criticized, it's a great idea. We need to work together. We need to list down the issues, work with them, find out how do we align ourselves, how do we change our next sprint goals, or how do we together refine our product backlog so that we have a better and better alignment. So anything not working, any conflict is an opportunity to solve the problem. It's a good opportunity. You better realize it now. Yeah, so it is something we better knew it, else we might go with the wrong feedback for a very long time. So it's all about people management, stakeholder management, and that's going to be always the key, irrespective of the title you carry, Scrum Master or a project manager. We are going to deal with the people who are not finding our work sufficient for their jobs. Okay, so I have completed my PMP. Should I go for PgMP? I have not done PgMP myself. I was not motivated. I don't see that that thing is into too much demand, so I have not done it, and we have not added that as an offering. So I can't comment much. Yeah, not much aware of PgMP market. Yeah, so good place could be the job sites, and you can see how the PgMP is helping. My personal view is usually as the positions becomes senior, yeah, the role of certification starts reducing. Yeah, the competency starts playing a role. So someone may not hire say a VP because the VP was having a certificate, but someone will hire a project manager because project manager was having a certificate, because the certification may play a critical role there. But so usually after a level, the competency building, the presence, the market reach, connections, networking, those things plays a significant role, rather than just keep adding more and more certificate. That's the personal thing, but yeah, you probably need to do some research about that. Yes. Okay, so a nice offline discussions happening. Yeah, that's good thing. Now, how do you collaborate with a senior developer or an engineering manager as a Scrum Master? So same thing. Yeah, Scrum Master, a stakeholder collaboration. See, the whole idea of working with stakeholder is both of us has a common goal and common understanding and expectation with each other. Yeah, that's what we learn in a PMP exam. That's what we learn in a stakeholder management process. So how do I manage, or how do I work with someone? First, we need to have a clear working agreement for each other. Okay, what do you expect? What I expect? And where is the overlap? There is a possibility someone might expect just opposite to what you are expecting. There could be negative stakeholders also. So we need to understand what are those stakeholders contribution, how they are influencing the current initiative, be it project or product, and how we can collaborate and work together with them. So we set up the working agreement with each other, we manage expectation based on those working agreement, and we modify those working agreement as and when needed. And once the sufficient amount of trust is built, then you don't need a working agreement. I feel working agreement, need of a working agreement itself shows that there is a some gap in your stakeholder engagement, yeah, stakeholder way of working, because it requires some process to start with. But yeah, that's a good starting point. And over a period of time, when you have a good relationship, when you have a good understanding of each other's objective, empathy with each other's work, then you won't need any document or an agreement to take care. Yeah, that's something, and that's crucial for irrespective of labor. You call it Scrum Master, Agile Coach, Project Manager. In my experience, whenever I talk to successful project managers, what I learn is their ability to influence stakeholders, their ability to listen to what stakeholders' needs are rather than only words, and then serve those needs rather than just taking care of their feedbacks and responding to those feedbacks, makes people successful in their project and delivery role. That's what I have observed, and I also experienced it when I deal with my stakeholders. So understanding their need rather than only words, and serving that needs, and having expectation management. Expectation management is also important, because sometimes the stakeholder may start expecting too much from you. That's also, you need to manage that. Okay. Okay. Uh, So this question may require maybe a separate videos on all these concepts. Some of them are taken care, but in our we do have a user story video. But let's see, if I have a space, I will talk as much I can. Yeah. Okay. So what do you do to gain trust and confidence of your team? So, in a simple word, how do we gain trust and confidence of anyone? Yeah, whom you trust, and how that person has gained trust from you. We just need to see our life. We need to just see how we have been operating. You trust some manager more. You trust some team member more. Why do you do that? Why you don't trust all the team members at an equal level? Why do you trust all your seniors at an equal level? Why you differentiate? Now, you might be observing that there are few things which I care, and those people whom I trust, they meet that expectation, and others don't. Now, the same formula you need to apply when you want to create a trustworthy relationship with others. As simple. Now, in a simple word, what I feel generally, the trust is all about having clear understanding of a competency, that okay, can you do the job? Yeah, you capable of doing it? So a clear understanding of okay, what this person's capability is. The second thing which I usually look is how frequent, how transparent the person is. If the person will get stuck, will he or she inform you at a regular level? If the person is saying it will get done, will it really get done? So how transparent it is, and how frequently he or she meets your expectation. So if you have a clarity about the capability, then you have a clarity about the openness of working with that person. And then third, which you see is that okay, commitments or the clarity or expectations are getting delivered. We really do something for each other. That's the thing which is needed for anyone to build the trust, in my opinion. And again, it's like whole big topic in its own, but I feel that's a good starting point. So see, why should they trust you? What kind of value you are adding for them? How authentic you are? How much information you are giving to them? And what benefit they get from you? That's it. Okay. So looks like we have two estimation questions. One is, or maybe twice posted questions, if I see it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So for Deep, Moscow, Invest, Smart, I think all these acronym probably will not go close together, but I do appreciate if you can check our videos on user story, and let's see if we get space. But as of now, the backlog is high. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so in the Agile, what is the different level of estimations are done? As a business try to win a project, they may do a rough order of magnitudes, but when they do a backlog refinement, they do a story point. That's the starting point. And then is estimations are done at a task levels. Then you end up having over budget, and then your project is not working. Now, I feel that's the case in any project. Yeah, be it agile, be it non-agile. So, in a simple word, when you are estimating for a budget, and if you are estimating for a contract, yeah, do you care is it agile or non-agile? Because you are estimating for a contract. Yeah. So what do you care? You care that I cover my risks. That's what you cover. And you do whatever best is possible to do that. So there is no reason of getting into the jargons of rough order of magnitude estimates and others, because they are anyway going to be risk all the time. Now, even in a waterfall project, can you estimate accurately on the first week of the project? The estimation done on the first week of a project, estimation done on the third month of a project, and estimation done after the 12th month of the project will be different. Now, this estimation is not necessarily to be equal to your contract estimation. Contract estimation and budget estimations are two separate things. Contract is a purely commercial thing. I might end up doing something where I know the client can only pay for 6 months effort. I quote for 6 months effort. I know it's going to take 12 months. Yeah. And it end up taking 15 months to me. but I know beyond this much money I could not get it. Or sometime I know it's a 1 day job, but I want to code for three months kind of an effort, because I know the other customer can pay it, because 1 day job is for us, because we have so many reusable component, we can do it, others can't do it. Others are going to take 3 months, but we can do it in a 1 month, but we are going to charge because we have built these assets. So the contract estimate and project estimates might be related, but they are very different thing. Now, what is a budget estimate? Budget estimate is facing the reality on a daily basis. So you face the reality on as you discover that reality, and you discover that reality gradually. Be it waterfall, be it agile, both way you are expected to discover the reality gradually. In the waterfallish way, in the predictive way, we used to do estimation at the end of a phase one. And I have seen in many companies for quite a few years that hardly few projects used to get done in the less than 20% of the variance of the initial estimation, and which is acceptable, because the only way to avoid it is that I start estimating too much initially, because they were not getting those approval initially. Even if I estimate high, management will say no, try to do it in less that money. So please don't try to equate the agile issues with them. Now, in the agile world, we use different technique to do progressive estimation, because the requirements are getting progressively elaborated. Where in a non-agile world, we have a requirement getting elaborated in the beginning, so we do a progressive estimation, but that get fairly stabilized at the end of a 3-4 months if I'm running a 12 months project. So that's the only difference. The estimations are going to emerge as we know more and more about our project. Yeah, irrespective of the project life cycle, you may have a different jargons for different things. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So my PO adds new stories, new requirement to the existing stories every sprint between. How do I handle it? What's wrong with it? Yeah. And if something is wrong with it, talk about that wrong. So your product owner is adding something in an ongoing sprint. Yeah. What's wrong with it? That wrongness must be hurting you as well as to product owner. Talk about that wrongness and get it resolved. And if everything is working good, nothing is wrong with it, it's a great thing. So usually these kind of things derail your planning. These kind of things end up creating a lot of accumulation of defects and technical debts, which becomes later on a bigger problem. So if as a scrum master I start equating, quantifying those things, how many defects got added at the end of an iteration, how many things got bypassed because of the change on thing, then I have those reasons, yeah, to explain. If nothing is getting impacted that way, means my project team is pretty much understands all the details, and they can see whenever the product owner is adding a requirement, they can judge, is it good enough to equate it without hampering the sprint goal, or is it going to hamper the sprint goal? And according to they take a decision. When it is not hampering, they take it. When it is hampering, they don't take it. Then it's perfect. So the whole idea here is the sprint goals should not be disturbed. The stakeholder communication remains clear. Expectations should get managed, and we should not take technological bypass. And the team should understand it, product owner should understand it, and you should also facilitate that understanding as a scrum master. If we all can do these three things, then we are good. Yeah. So Scrum never tells don't do any change in the sprint. They only tells don't change the sprint goal, which means some user stories may have a change in acceptance criteria. Some user story may have some plus minus while you are going into the iteration, provided both you and the people who are working on those user story, you means development team, understand that this is not going to create any technical debt. This is not going to create any issue with our sprint commitments. If that is working, I personally feel there is no issue in dealing with those things. If that is not working, quantify what is not working and talk about that as you go along. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully the estimation got closed. If not, please do put your follow-up questions. Yeah, here, yes. Okay, so during the sprint, developer realizes between that they have selected too much work to finish the sprint. What should the developer do? expose the issue. Yeah, expose the issue as soon as they discover it, and we need to do a problem solving. Who all needs to be involved in order to do a problem solving? Probably the product owner and the business people. Now this is a situation, so what we have to do as a leader: never hide the fire, never take a bypass, never try to create a uncertain or unrealistic stability in the work. If the work is not stable, if there are issues, it should be exposed. Now, after exposing, there could be various things. Maybe the product owner say, okay, we can reprioritize what we have picked up. Yeah, that's a possibility. Or there could be something else. Or some senior person will say, why are we taking this much time? Looks like we need an expert advice. Or look like, oh, you are thinking too much. Yeah, this all was not needed. Why are you getting into those many details? If this is becoming too complicated to implement, I have a way to do it. Many time what I face in my personal experience as well as in my professional, when I was working for others as a project and our own project, a lot of problem can be solved if the developer and business people discuss their problems frequently. Yeah, because there could be alternative approaches. The business people might have given you a requirement which might be becoming difficult to implement technically, but there could be a workaround, and those workaround can only be discovered when they put into their effort together. So make the people talk. That's what you do. And you don't have any ready-made solutions to do it. Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, how to balance out servant leader so that your team does not consider you just as a servant? See, this is funny, I think, but yeah, I think practically, and I have seen when I started training initial days, I had a one participant in my class, and he said, sometimes people just take it too literally in my team. That person, name was Manoj, and says, my team member, one of the team members says, Manoj, can you get me a coffee? And I became like, just like, okay, what is happening here? Am I just a servant here, or I am a leader as well? So see, expectation management, ground rules, agreements, working together, and it is just difficult initially, but once it gets settled down, then it is good to go forward. So the whole idea is, and at the same time, I also don't want to make my team too much dependent on me. You know, like if someone's issues are there, someone machine is not working, laptop is not working, do I need to solve that problem? Maybe yes, when the team is very new, but later on maybe not. The team should be able to take care of it, gradually. Because see, if I am solving it, I am again becoming a bottleneck. They need to wait for me, my time, and then only they can get resolved it. But if they know how to handle it themselves, probably they can get it faster, and that's a good thing to move forward. So I believe the leader role, again, the servant and leader, Scrum guide has, I kind of dropped the word servant anymore from the guide, anything. So in case you want to get rid of the word servant, you can do that formally. Nowadays nobody will say that you are not a Scrum guy because the Scrum guide has dropped that word. That's a possibility if the name is becoming problem. But the idea here is just facilitation and enabling people to grow. You mentor them, you coach them, and you also make sure that they don't become too much dependent on you. That's what I can say here. Okay. Okay, how many days will it take to do a 24 to 30 user stories? Yeah. And I wanted to know what the interviewer intention behind this question. I just posted a small shot on this topic few minutes ago, and I think your interviewer was having the same intention which is posted in the shot. Now, what is that intention? Probably many times people want to see how do you correlate, and I can say, if Ashish question also, if we relate to the whole thing, is also kind of there. How do we correlate story points to the days? Yeah. And is there any correlation, and what do you answer that, where you don't become too much theoretical, and at the same time you don't become too much anti agile way of working, so something like that. Yeah. So story points, as Ashish conversation which was happening in the estimation space. So if I just recap what we were discussing in the Ashish conversation also. So there are different stages of your project estimation or a work estimation, if I use that work. You might be creating a vision or a business case, and that point in time you just need a rough order of magnitude estimate. Okay, what is going to cost us and how these things are going to work. So you have a very, very high level estimate. Yeah, irrespective of life cycle, you need to do some magic there and put that, and then based on that you understand this is a risky thing. As you move forward, you start having second level of estimate. You want to have a little refinement in the estimate as you are moving forward, because that estimate was done for other purpose, business, contractual and other thing, but now you need to face the reality. As you know more information, you want to bringing that, you are bringing that thing here. Now story point comes there second time. Now when the story point is coming, we exactly don't know who is going to work on it, and we exactly don't know what will be the sequence of the work. Yeah. So say you have a one story which is talking about search A. You have another story talking about search B. Yeah. Say search using title and search using keyword. They are two separate story. Now, which one will get first will take more time. The another one will take less time in a reality. But when you are doing story point estimation, you don't know which one will get done first. You have not done that much planning. And at the same time, you don't know who is going to work on it. So you don't have a clear understanding. Am I going to work it or someone else going to work on it? So in the absence of that, we cannot directly correlate with the days. Yeah, but there should be some understanding. So at a high level, second level of estimation is a story point estimation. And later on, when we are expected to work on it, say 2 weeks before in the sprint planning space, we need to do a more fine grain estimation, and then we revisit that estimate on a daily basis as we are doing our daily scrum. So that's the whole process. Now, based on this whole story, what is the use of the middle level estimate? The middle level estimate gives us some kind of an average forecasting. So average forecasting requires an information from velocity. That forecasting might be 10-20% error prone. Yeah, because it's an average forecasting, as something Ashish was also pointing out, because things are emerging. You have not looked into sequence and you have not looked into various things, but that tells you a little bit with more certainty how long this is going to run. So if you have your velocity number identified, which means you know how many story points your team were doing in the previous iterations, then that can give you a 20-30% error with error forecast. That now error percentage I'm just using as an example, 20-30. It might be different for different companies depending upon the predictability of the velocity iteration on iteration, but that's the intention of it. So you can't tell directly. You may need to ask, okay, I need to understand what has been the historical velocity and how stable the velocity numbers are. And based on the stability and average velocity of the past, we would be able to project how many iterations it will take, project, and it may have a 10-20% variance, which will get refined further. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies this particular doubt. Yeah. Okay, so I think I have covered. Now I can take a little bit of acronym game, which has been discussed, and we will see thinking that can we do it or not. So I take one by one and wait for questions if it is. So deep is a term which is used by some of the agile writers to show the characteristic of a product backlog. So it's a detailed enough, estimated, emergent, and prioritized. So that's a full form of it, which means that any product backlog should be detailed enough. It is not fine grained, and it should be emerging as things are evolving. And as we discussed about story points, it should be estimated and should be prioritized. So that's a deep, which is a characteristic of a product backlog. Yeah. So if you search about product backlog, you will probably get it. Invest and 3C. Yeah, these two are characteristic of a user story. So user stories, which is a piece of requirement which is expected to elaborate over a period of time, progressive elaboration of that particular user story, so is represented with the help of 3Cs. And at the end of a progressive elaboration, the user story becomes invest. So what is a 3C? They call it card, conversation, and confirmation, which means we start with a reminder to have a conversation. Then we have a conversation, and finally we summarize our results and say that these are the acceptance criteria. So you can say maybe 1 month in advance, I just add an item into the product backlog that becomes a card. If I think this is a priority, then I discuss about that item into my upcoming product backlog refinement meeting. And based on that discussion, we start adding the acceptance criteria to that particular user story. Then the conversation and confirmations are happening. So you can say item got added 2 months in advance or some time, but as soon as they becoming priority, we are doing conversation and confirmation in the backlog refinement meeting. It represents that user stories are expected to evolve progressively. Now, once the user story has evolved, it should be invest. So which means invest is another representation of a good user story, like independent, negotiable, valuable, estimatable, small and testable. So these are the characteristics which should be there when the story is good or well refined, when it is ready to go for the upcoming iteration. So that's what I can add it here. Yeah. Uh, Okay, and finally, Moscow. It's a way of doing high level categorization based prioritization, which is like must have, should have, could have, and won't have. So you are saying that group of people coming together and they are looking at a product backlog and saying, can we categorize these items that into categories like what is needed, priority one, priority two, priority three, as a high category level, and later on we may have a fine grained prioritization inside those categories. So what are the must have feature, what are the should have feature, what are the could have feature, and what are the features which we are saying won't have, at least for upcoming release we are putting them out of scope. So that's a Moscow part of it. Yeah. Okay. How do we ensure your Scrum team completes the assigned stories without any technical debt? If the Scrum Master responsible to make sure everything is perfect. Yeah. So how do you make sure that? You make sure by way of creating absolute transparency in the system. Yeah. So you need to see where things can get, where is the dark area in your development room. So we need to put our development room and say, okay, where the lights are not going. Yeah, and wherever the lights are not going, there could be issues there. So we need to bring those lights and bring those lights that they are continuously lighting that area. So if we can light up the whole area, then mess will become visible. Yeah, your job. That's your job as a Scrum Master. I need to ensure the room is well lit. Yeah, and that's how I ensure that nobody can hide something here and there, which can create a problem or a smell in later on when other visitors comes in the room and they says, oh, this is so dirty, this is smelling. So I need to ensure that that is not happening. So by way of doing daily Scrum, by way of ensuring that there is a complete transparency in our definition of done, everybody has a clear understanding of definition of done, there is a good review, good amount of sharing happening among the development team, where one work can be done by other person also. There is no very isolated development happening. So things are shared, they are available at a common platform, and the feedback loop is short, which means if something is not working, the thing, as soon as the things gets done, it get moved for a test, or it get moved for integration, or it get moved for deployment. And if something is not working, the feedback loop is short enough so that it can give a signal back. Yeah. So I put as much light as possible in the room so that while working there is no mess. And second, there could be something hidden mess which is not visible in the light also, that I ensure by way of having feedback loop. Yeah. So at a very high level, that's what I can probably suggest here. But yes, you can find out more as per your team's experience. Okay, so that's the idea. I am just picking up if I can pick something else from here. Mohammad Amjad, good to see you back after a long break, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So looks like all good. I do have few questions. Kumkum, if you have anything before I pick my one.
No, no, go ahead. Pick up from your
Okay.
notes.
So the second question which came in my YouTube comment, will you agree to do a Scrum ceremony if the entire product can be delivered within a week to the stakeholders? What the future what about the future enhancement? How will you plan them as a Scrum Master? So we need to understand the context. The idea here is the ceremonies are there to put the light. Yeah. So even if something is taking 1 week, do you need a light in the system? Yeah. And if you don't have a light, how do you know it will be really 1 week? It looks like it will get done in a 1 week, but will it go further? Now, a 1 week job, only 2 people, 3 people working, I may not need a ceremony. These people can work across the table, and I don't have to call a review and planning meeting, because they can talk to each other and get the things done. But 1 week job, 10 people working or a 7 people working, I may need to have a ceremonies to handle that. So we need to see how many people, how long they have been working with each other, how long they understand, how long they have been working on this requirement. Do they understand the client? What is the maturity of the client to tell the requirement and really test the requirement? And all these factors will define the amount of management I need to put into the process. Yeah. And the Scrum ceremonies is also a management. So even if you do a ceremony, how deep it would be, it's about of a management thing. So we should identify what amount of bureaucracy we need to put. If we can live with a zero bureaucracy, then we need to have a very efficient system. Usually difficult, but yeah, so that's how we need to see that. Okay, so if no question, I have another one. Will you allocate user story as a Scrum Master to developers? Yeah, and this question I feel is there in many people's mind, who allocate work to the developers. Yeah, are they going to take the work on their own? And if they are not taking the work, then who allocates it? If they are taking it wrongly, then who points it out? So the idea here is, it all depends who are those developer and how they have been doing over a period of time. So say if I have a very new team, as a Scrum Master or as any leader, I may play a key role in facilitating work identification and allocation. If I have a team who has figured it out how things work, I may not take a key role in identifying the work as well as allocating it. So in general, from a Scrum theory perspective, you should not be taking key role at all. Yeah, people should be able to figure that out. But again, it depends upon who are those people, how long they have been working together with each other, and that is how I will apply my leadership style, because it's a leadership thing. You can call it situational leadership. You may say that we start with a recommendation, directing kind of a leadership, and gradually we go for more and more facilitating space. But as a Scrum Master, your approach ideally should be, once the team has built up, that's an assumption because we don't know what the team development stage is. But if the team has built up well, then I just facilitate the conversation, which helps people to find out who should work on what. So you should facilitate a sprint planning meeting, and the sprint planning meeting should generate the work allocation. There is a possibility, if the team has developed so well, you may not even have to facilitate the sprint planning meeting. The team can do their own sprint planning meeting, because they know what they have to do. But you need to ensure the sprint planning meeting happens, and that produce a good understanding of who is expected to work on what. And then continuous daily Scrum to show the things, how things are working or not working. Yeah. So in the current virtual days, yeah, the another interesting question coming is, daily Scrum meeting can't be finished in 15 minutes for the team. What is the best way to handle this situation? So I would say that one can say that this is something we have learned. We have learned, since we are not co-located, since we are not in the same time zone, since we are not in the same space, and we don't have many opportunities to work together. Daily Scrum may start with something. You may want to do a quick conversation first to just have a basic level status. But after that, you probably give people choices to stay more and discuss things in detail. Yeah. So again, it depends. The team size, team members' maturity, team members' communication availability over a day varies. And I personally don't like, I'm not a very great follower of a particular meeting, and all the time becomes, in all the situation it becomes the same duration meeting. Yeah, that relatively a risky assumption for my perspective. But if someone is theoretically validating that point, you can say, yeah, we do a 15 minutes daily Scrum, but then we do a meet after, because that is adding value to us, and we do give people choices. If they don't have any interest in the meet after, they can exit it. So we give a mandatory 15 minutes space where everybody is expected to be there, but then we have an optional meet after where people join and discuss things at a length. Yeah, then you can politically also write, and you might be doing something not wrong as well. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so before I close, I just want to take one more question, and I think that will be closing my backlog of YouTube questions as well. The difference between outcome and output. So this is very important. We should be clear about it. So outcome is the benefit we want to achieve, and output is something we are producing. Producing something. That's something a thing. So what is an outcome? Maybe a product success, the customer acquisition is an outcome, but the product will only be successful when you have, say, a website. So website is an output. You need to create a website for something, and that's an output. But is this website is helping you to achieve your desired goals? Maybe sales conversion, maybe reducing the purchase time or reducing the processing time for your end customer. That's an outcome. What we really get by doing that particular job is the outcome. So we earn money through outcome, yeah, but output is needed for achieving outcome. But we are flexible in the output. If the one output is not giving outcome, we try to modify that output and says, okay, can we put something else so that we get the outcome? So that's how output and outcome can be there. Yeah. Okay. Do you feel a development team need to be a domain expert? So again, a context. So say if you are working in a legal space, yeah, and you you are working a software for a legal group, you may need to create some kind of awareness and empathy in the development team, so they start understanding the language of your stakeholders. Yeah. So we need to create an amount of empathy, not necessarily an expertise. You don't want to make your team member lawyers, yeah, who will start fighting the legal battles. You don't want to do that. But if they don't understand the term, then you are also gone. Yeah. So what we need to do is the team should be educated in the domain, in the customer language, in the customer outcome space. Yeah. Because if you don't do that, then they won't relate to the customer outcome, and they will get stuck to an output level only. I'm relating to the previous question, and that can create more and more miscommunication. So it's a good idea to create an empathetic approach between both the parties. Okay, in a sprint retro, if you have a 10 action points, how will you manage? One problem is getting repeated in the sprint. Two, what will you do in action? So in a simple word, we should prioritize. We should understand limit work in progress, and we need to see why these many actions are coming. So work with the team, identify the high priorities items, and identify based on the impact they are producing. And repeated point shows that something is not working significantly. There is a high probability those repeated point may become high priority point. High probability, I don't know. It depends upon what were those points. Okay, so I think this all we wanted to cover today. And thank you everyone for joining it. I think it was a very interesting Q&As. I know I keep giving a lot of suggestions here, but situations varies. So you do need to apply your context. Probably my answers helps you to think a little more, and then you can find out a little more and explore the details. We do have many videos on our YouTube channel. Some of the topics which are like theoretical topics, probably you can search them and make use of those videos as well. Yeah. Good. Yeah, Kumkum, good from my side. Yeah.
Great. Already we have 3 minutes spillover, so I'll not take much time. So, guys, we'll be back on the next to next Friday again, same time, 7 p.m. IST. And just take care of yourself. And yeah, bye for now.